it's Raquel from Recovery to Wellness, and it's currently May 1st, 2022, and this is going to be a hopefully not too long video, but I am going to be doing my first ever full-on book review video style, and if it's longer than 25 minutes raw footage, I will do this in two parts. We are going to review this book, or more so, I'm going to tell you about my review of this book, and we'll just kind of see how it goes, and it's going to be various clips for me, so I'm going to try to do short little bits, and then put it all together at the end, and hopefully it'll be okay. So, welcome, and if you're new to my channel, by the way, hi, I'm Raquel, and I make content about mental health recovery. I do more recovery stuff and also things about the rest of my identity, which is, you know, being an artist, a hobby artist, and working, and, you know, just making haul videos, and art time lapses, and music, because music is a huge part of my journey and recovery and how I stay well. I was listening to a lot of music today, so it'll be fun, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. Hopefully you'll enjoy my channel, and I love rainbows and lighthouses and rainbow lighthouses, even though they're technically not a thing, and I will be doing a lot of advocacy videos and talking more about mental health and doing even like reaction videos and stuff, like of my own old content, because I've had a channel for almost like 6 years, so it's been a while and it's been a journey, and some of you guys are new, so hi, hello, welcome. I love feedback, anything you can give me, if you have tips or tricks or things like that, or even how to do like video style book reviews, that would be fantastic, because I'm largely going to look at my published review on my blog as how I sort of do this. So first time for everything, and I know this book has been through a lot with me. I've done it on several videos and like live streams. I've been reading it and everything, so I have a lot to say about this book that totally hit me in the face, and again, it might not be one part, but I will give this review all of its justice, and that will be the thing. I've been a reader all my life. My current last 4 years of reading has been a lot more of a struggle. I struggle with perfectionism, as well as other things, and it's just made books, like reading books, a lot harder. I'll like reread it, and you know, while I'm reading it, like get through like 2 pages and go back and reread it, and you know, there's all sorts of things to that effect, but ultimately, my 2 biggest rules are: if I start a book, I have to finish it, and if I read a book, I have to review it. So that's how we got to here. So I'll talk about this book, maybe even just part of my journey of it, and everything within these 2 parts. This is definitely going to be 2 parts. But I'll do it in clips, and so yeah. So stay tuned, and subscribe to my channel if you're new. And I do live streams a couple times a month or so, so check in for that. And I'm just trying to grow my channel, and hopefully you'll enjoy this, and let me know feedback down below in the comments. So let's jump on in. This book is called Slow, Simple Living for a Frantic World, 2018, by Brooke McAllery. The book is 262 pages. It's a nonfiction book about slower living, simpler living, decluttering, mindfulness, living and noticing things and behaviors and thought patterns and emotions, how social media impacts those things, and living a life worth living. And it's also about psychology and self-help, self-improvement. The pacing of the book is great. I think it's very light, and also having a lot of depth. So it's light, but it also has a lot of depth to it. I very much enjoyed this book. This is going to be my experiences, so I'll try to use as many I statements as I can. So I really enjoyed this book. I got it at the library. I think I was with my ex at the time. Like we were together in the library, and I saw it in the nonfiction section, and I think what appealed to me was the style of the book cover. Book covers are very important, but I enjoyed like the style of it and just kind of like how it looked. And from the back of it, I'll read you the back of it. That'll probably be a smart idea. It says, "Free yourself from the frantic. Are you constantly striving to keep up with life's busy expectations? It's easy to feel consumed with the desire to acquire and miss the simple opportunities waiting for you to slow down. A walk in the forest, sharing laughter with family, a personal moment of gratitude. Join Brooke on her mission to help you create a life filled with the things that really matter to you. Slow provides practical advice and fascinating insights into messiness to mindfulness, decluttering to de-owning, asking why to asking where to now. Slow is an invitation to live, not just exist." Simply, of course. So it stood out to me. It made me think, oh, I really want to see that. And like, mindfulness is such a core of like even DBT, honestly, to be honest. There's a whole segment in DBT about it. So it just really appealed to me, and it made me really think about it. And I'll get into the next part. So I do a thing in my review posts. I call them my book reviews. They're not really reviews on my blog. They're like giant analyses of like a book and all of my experiences, and I do trigger warnings and themes and like the length of the book, the summary of the book, quotes that stood out to me. For books like nonfiction, or even I suppose graphic novels, I would do images that stuck out to me. I do the parts of it things I was thinking about while I was reading it, like if I think of a reference to something else that I've seen or read, or, whatever. And then I also do what kept me reading, like my experience with the book, what kept me reading. I also do my recommendation score out of 5, so 0 out of 5. And then I do the section of like a thank you for like reading all my stuff, and then also just like what I'm going to be reading next. So that's kind of like the baseline, the backbone of my like blog post reviews, in a sense. They're very detailed, and I haven't got flagged for copyright yet, but I don't think anyone really knows that I'm doing them still. So I've been doing book reviews on my blog. I've had my blog since 2016, so I have a lot more reviews that I have handwritten out. And also, even in the last 4 years, I've gotten a lot more. It's gotten a lot bulkier, I would say. But 2016, 2017, I do still have reviews from them that I hand wrote, or started to write, like to type, and then never fully published. So I actually want to bring back some of those soon, going forwards in this 2022 year. So that'll be exciting. But yeah. As far as what kept me reading this book, other than the fact that if I read a book, I have to finish it, I also really enjoyed it. Like, it definitely was a chore at times, and I wasn't always, like, fully in it. Like, I read from about 3 different perspectives when I read a book. I read it as the writer, so I try to read it as, like, how, the cutoff of the sentence was, or the description of the words, or the ways I could stylistic choices that I can include in my own writing, things like that. I read it as the writer. Then I read it as the reader, as just reading a book to read a book, and escapism into that world or function of reality that is different or similar to my own. And then I also read it as the analyzer, especially with fiction novels, try to pick up, this cue is going on, so I think this is what's happening, or this is what's really happening, just trying to guess it and trying to figure it out. So those are like the 3 modes of how I read a book, and so those are complicated modes. Like, book reading is just so much harder for me in the last 4 years than it's been before, and I'm very stubborn. I'm a very stubborn person. I love books. I have been a reader all my life, and, this kind of classics that I grew up with was like Avalon and Animorphs and, Goosebumps and things like that. Like, those were the kinds of books. I think it was like something about Jane Brown or Nancy Drew, or like some other little girl in a book series. But I grew up with those books, and, reading was always a place that I could escape to, and I have such a connection to books and so much. I just love books. I love books. I want to write my own books. I want to publish my own books. I want to be all around books. Like, I love books so much. And they're just such a beautiful thing. And, like, especially for fiction, like, the fact that, like, people can have imagination, and even for myself, because I am also a writer, that I come up with, you know, I don't do original stuff as much anymore, but I do a lot of fanfiction stuff with plot lines and characters and emotion and body language especially. There's just so much to it, and I just, no matter how long it takes me to read a book, and it takes me a long time now, I don't want to give it up. I have put too much of myself into it, and too much pride into it, and too much not wanting to let go of it, that I will read a book. I will read a book, I will finish a book, I will do it. It just takes a while, which is probably why I struggle so much with library books, because it just takes me so long. I don't spend as much time putting in my life, putting into residing with books, but this book, for instance, was a great way of putting in that time, and even talking about putting in that time within the book itself. Like, you know, there was so much mindfulness-based stuff, so much just of noticing, hey, you're noticing this behavior, notice the urge that you want to just go online and look up memes, or, oh, this reminded me of this thing, and look up a video or whatever, and instead just let it be noticed, and then let it pass, and then turn your attention and your focus back into what you're doing in the current moment, which is trying to read a book. So I'll get into more of this, but that's kind of a little bit more of a background into why it takes me so long, and why I just don't give up. I don't give up on books, and I surround myself with probably too many books, and when I take out books from the library, I don't read them until like a year later. So on my blog, I have this thumbnail that I use for my book reviews. Oh god, you can't see it. I don't know how well you can see it, but it's essentially Book Exploration Station. So I call it a BES for short. Alright, so for this book, I did the review differently, because normally what I do is I read a book from start to finish, and then I start the review at the very end. This book, I got like 30 pages into it, and I had already like 25 page flags. So that was way too daunting I was like, okay, that's an issue. I have to try to do something differently. So what I did was while I was still reading the book and still going through it, I started the review. So in the background, I started to do the review components, and, you know, do the backbone of the whole layout of the BES, and then also just, you know, plopping in quotes and putting in the sections and just doing all of that. So that was the first time I've ever done that with a book, which I actually really quite enjoyed. I think it's actually probably a better idea than just waiting until the very end when I'm looking at 150 page flags to go through. Probably better to just break it down into those smaller things, which is actually something that I got out of this book. So, hooray. So, I got this book, I honestly think, I took it out from the library back in spring 2021, when I went to the library with my ex. And I didn't start reading it until January 9th, 2022. So I think it was I honestly think it was spring. Like, it had to have been spring. So about 6 months later, I started to actually read the book, because I don't make time for things, but it's okay. And then I finished the book. The last time I did a live stream, I read 20 pages of the book in the live stream, and it was actually really cool how it worked out, because I started the live stream being like, I don't really want to read this book, I really don't want to read, I don't really think I'm in the mood for it, but I'll read anyway. And then I did, and then the next day I finished the book. Like, I just consumed it all. I was like, oh, gotta eat, you know, just consume it all. So I did. So I started January 9th, and then I finished it by April 20th. Additionally, I started this review, this blog post review, February 10th, 2022, and then I finished it April 28th, 2022. So I'm sure you're wondering what the fuck the book is about, because I haven't really told you. So, this book, I think, is such a good book. It's such a good book because I feel so much more grown since I've read it, and I'm so glad that I read it, and that even though it took me possibly about 6 months before I started to actually read it, I feel like I have such a new perspective, and like, even until like today, you know, there was a chapter in this book all about mindfulness, and it was so good to get that refresher course on mindfulness because of my experience already having dealt with it in treatment and DBT, dialectical behavior therapy, for the borderline. But like, even today, I was on the porch, and on the back porch, and I could feel the sun on the back of my black t-shirt, and I could feel, you know, the heat on my neck and my hair of the sun, and I was sitting there looking at flirty barista, like, forums online, and I was also just looking at this bumblebee that I named Ben. I named him Ben, and Ben was just floating around. He does this every year. Well, maybe not Ben specifically, but this bumblebee, these types of bumblebees fly around every year, right in spring. They come up and they hover, and they're, you know, the thrum of their wings, and they're just trying to, like, I don't know what they're looking for, if they're, like, looking for a nest or what it is, but they hover on the porch. You know, I always wonder if Moki's gonna get stung or something, but then there was another one, Betsy. It was Betsy. I named her Betsy, and they were fighting and stuff, and I was just taking pictures of them. I was trying to, at least, on my phone, and just, even stuff like that, like, you know, prior, maybe spring last year, I don't think that I would have noticed as much. But since I read this book, I noticed. And I think I've been living more mindfully than mindlessly. And I really have to thank this book for that, because I think in the last couple of years, since the pandemic, I think that I went more into mindlessness than mindfulness, or just mindful, like full of thingsness, and it was really nice to get that crash course on mindfulness again, and even just to recognize that, you know, even when I wander a little bit in my thoughts, or being in the present moment, if I start thinking about, what am I going to eat for lunch today, or I'm also hungry, but what am I going to have for lunch today, what video should I watch when I eat my lunch, or should I even watch a video while I eat my lunch, or, you know, what am I going to do tomorrow, or what do I have to do with this, that, and, or I really should be reading this book, or I should be reading, you know, this other book, or I should be writing a review, or writing a fanfiction story, or editing a video, and all these things. Like, I think before I would have just fallen off and gotten lost in those trains of thoughts, when now I could kind of be like, okay, put a page flag here, write out that I'm thinking of something else, and then put it in my review later, or take it out and not put it in my review, because I didn't go through every single one of these page flags. Some of them I read it, and I was like, nah, I really don't need it in the review, it's fine, I can leave it out. So, I think this book brought me a lot of, like, just remembering that mindfulness is living in the present moment, and also when you wander, bring your attention back to the present moment. Like, okay, I had thought about, you know, going to Dunkin' Donuts in like 10 minutes. I'm gonna bring it back to reading this book. And just that frequent redirection is still mindfulness. And so that was something really big that I got out of this book. I also think I got out of this book just a lot of ideas, honestly, and I love this book. I genuinely love it. It honestly reshaped some of the things in my life that I've become complacent with or have just accepted for maybe too long. And now I'm ready to do something about it. And the big thing too, I would say, there's 2 points I just came up with, but as far as decluttering, there's a whole chapter on declutterings, right? So there's so many ways I can talk about this. Normally I don't tend to just, I've had another book review in the past where I did a constructive criticism spot in the review, but other book reviews in the past I haven't always done that. This book definitely had a constructive criticism point, because there were things I didn't agree with. I wasn't like, I love this book. Did I agree with everything? No. So I found that this book was it's nonfiction, so it had prompts, it had little things like thinking about, as the reader, think about your life and your decisions and your actions and your thoughts and what things you are willing to change or want to change or actually make steps in changing. And so there was a chapter just on decluttering. I personally, something I don't agree with in this book is, there's a lot of the comparison game between yourself and the Joneses, and how, I have to get the next latest thing, I have to get the newest iPhone, or I have to get the newest headphones, or whatever it might be, so that the Joneses will think better of me, or they will, not talk down to me, or they, because they already have it, I should really be like them. So this book talks a lot about how, no, you don't have to care about what the Joneses do. You can just live your life in the way that you want, that's important to you, the values in the forefront of it that you enjoy, and then just live your life for you, and take out the things that don't work and move forwards in the best way you can. So personally for me, I don't buy things because of what someone else will think of me. I definitely enjoy room care videos. I make room care videos, and I just think it's fascinating to see other people's interior design on their houses, or their exterior design, or how they decorate their room, or how the state of their desktop, or their desk, and all of that. Just I find that really interesting. I find it fascinating and interesting, and I don't know, it's cool. To me, that's just something that I think is really cool. So I find it cool, and then I think it's cool, so then I will also make content on my channel about it. So I have done tons of room care videos. There's so many more that I have to edit, and I just find it really interesting. And so when I buy things, I don't buy things because, what are my viewers gonna think about it, or what are the Joneses down the street gonna think about it? I just buy it because I like it. I like it. I think it's cool. I get attached probably too easily. Hello, borderline. I get attached very easily to things, and so I'll be in the store and I'm already thinking, I can see myself using this for X, Y, and Z purpose. For me, it fills a purpose. For me, I don't think it fills a void. I don't think I'm looking for me to feel I guess in some ways I feel better and I feel different for having it, but I don't think it I have to I'm filling something up when I do buy something, in a way. I don't think there's a void inside me that I'm missing out on something that, maybe I'm missing out on having that thing because of what that thing means, but not because what it means to other people, what it means to me. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I like things. I like things. I'm a bit of a hoarder. It's kind of a problem. We're working on it. I'm working on it. But I like things. I think things are interesting, and they can serve a function and a purpose, and when I buy things, or when I'm given things, I use it right away. I don't wait. I if I buy a new top, I'm wearing the top the next day. It's just how I am, and I don't have this like, what is so and so gonna think of me because I have it or don't have it. Like, I don't approach it that way. I buy things because I like to, or I have the money to, or I want to give it away to somebody else, or it makes me think of someone, or, you know, it's just a cool little artsy thing, or I can get further inspiration for it in the future, or things to that effect. That's how I relate to shopping. So that was a difference in, the way I relate to shopping is different than how it's portrayed, I suppose, in this book, at least based on the whole, like, you know, don't buy things because of the Joneses or whatever. So hi, Raquel again. So I figured out that I'm gonna add an additional section to the slow review, and also it's going to be 3 parts. So the whole review video format of the review will be in 3 different parts, and I have a list of what those parts will be. So that's sort of the raw footage length of them. And for this one, I'm going to add something I didn't mention when I filmed the video review, so I'm going to add it to this part, probably another like 5 minutes or so. So anywho, as to where I put this, it's currently May 5th, and I returned the book. In the timeline of things, I returned the book on like Wednesday. It's Thursday now, so I returned it Wednesday, and the fees have disappeared, so now I only owe $37, which I'm really excited about, really happy about. So yes, so as always, stay safe, take care, be well, much love and light to you. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for part 2, and then stay tuned for part 3, and I'll get it up as soon as I can, probably definitely in May 2022, so yay. And if you have any books that you would like me to review again as like a video format, or even things to review, like reread, or something you are reading that you think I might like, and if there's any mental health stuff, just mention trigger warnings on the bottom in your comment. But yes, I will take requests, I suppose, and I will do more video book review things, so yeah, it'll be fun. I'll see you again soon, because I'll be doing more uploads in May, and I hope you have a good day. Alright, bye, thanks, and stay tuned for part 2 or part 3, and I'll put this in those videos. Okay.
I can see a lighthouse through the smoke. Everything is lost, I know.